Good night. Holy crap. You got a few antlers behind you, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Holy moly. That's it. Yeah, you got to show me what's up here.
Keeps going. There's a couple empty holes in here, but
yeah, we need to fill those up, man.
Yeah.
Holy
we took them down. Well, it's a family group effort. So it's the siblings as well. But my brother, he just built his shop, and so he's taking his down. But it's okay. I'm filling those sections back up.
Dude, is that your bear is right there next to you?
Oh, that's my older brother's. Yeah. So he killed that's a 10'5" Alaskan brown bear. And
wow. Yeah. Give me the view here, dude. That's crazy.
It's bigger than it looks. I mean, yeah, 10'5". I mean, obviously
that's huge.
Big. Yeah. I have one in the tax fence right now, and he said, I actually talked to him today because I grabbed some wolf bait from him. He's like, when do you want to start on that bear? It's like, honestly, I have no room. So if you feel like you have to start to make room for yourself, go for it. But I'm like, realistically, can you wait? I have no room for a brown bear right now.
That's crazy, dude. Man. Yeah. We're headed to Alaska so me and a buddy of mine headed to Alaska in September, really mainly moose hunting, but we're going into grizzly country, and so we're gonna have grizz tags in our pocket too. And that's exactly like I want to do exactly what he's got done with that one on one if I get one. That would be so cool.
Yeah, I actually like that form myself because that's just honestly that's how they are. You know, a lot of people want to snarl or something, but they're just big. I mean, they're salmon fed bears, so,
right?
You know, they got the big hangy lip, and they're just like
they're just there.
Fish.
Yeah, they very rarely snarl. They're too fat.
You got a blacktail in the back there, huh?
Yeah, I got him on Kodiak. I can't move you or I'd show you around. But yeah, I got him. He's like one of my favorite deer I've ever shot, dude. It's sad because blacktails aren't that impressive, you know. They're itty bitty, but I love him. He's so cool.
They're really pretty capes, and especially Kodiak. I did the Kodiak thing. That was fun. And their capes are beautiful. They're beautiful, and they live in some of the most harsh climates. And it's like, and they just act like, you know, they're just. Not a big deal.
Yeah, they go straight up a mountain, and the mountain is like literally straight up, and they go up it like it's nothing. And it takes me 4 hours to go up this just 100-foot mountain. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, because we did mountain goats, and we were bumping blacktails all in the mountain goats. Like we were chasing mountain goats, and we're bumping blacktails. It's like, what are you doing up here?
Well, we kind of, not that we messed up or anything like that, but so we wanted to go on a caribou hunt. None of us had ever been on a caribou hunt, and so that was kind of new to us. And so we found this sweet deal on Kodiak Island to go caribou hunting. And I don't want to say we were disappointed, but we were kind of disappointed when we got there and saw the caribou that were on the island. Like, they're reindeer. They're not really like big caribou. And so I got more stoked about this guy than I did any of the caribou that we saw.
Oh, really? Oh, shoot. Caribou are weird like that. You'll hit these areas where they just get mega giants, and then you'll get these areas where they're just like sticks on their heads, you know?
Yeah.
Like they don't actually even grow anything.
And that's how they were there. Like every single one that we saw. In fact, my buddy, I think, got about the biggest one that we even saw there. And yeah, it's just like these little sticks on his head. I mean, he mounted him because he's cool looking, really nice and white coat and whatnot. But
so later in the year.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So we're hopefully planning next year to do a float trip and get some really good caribou.
Sweet. Yeah. I love, man, it's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
You got to just come with us.
This is the last one I did was that one, right? I don't know if you see it. He's right.
Oh, there. Dang, dude. Oh, is he in the velvet? I can't tell.
Yeah, so it's a velvet one. I had the velvet redone because I peeled it off.
Yeah.
But he actually did a great job. You know, like I took photos, and so they were able to match the photos, and they actually re-put the veins inside.
Oh, really?
You know? Yeah. Man. That was at Hall Road.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was a Hall Road boo.
Oh, okay. Nice. Very nice. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. I know we got to get into the podcast, but I also want to ask you about that doll sheep that you got back there. Is that yours?
That's Trevor's.
That's Trevor's. Brother. Oh, okay. Yeah. Where did he get that one at?
That was what part of the state? I don't know if that was the Brooks. did he go to the Brooks for that one? No, he didn't go to the Brooks. More toward the coast actually, but it was really rough terrain. I don't know the mountain range that they hunted to get that one, but
gotcha.
It was a rough hunt.
Well, that's a sheep hunt for you, but man, some of the places where those things live is ridiculous and almost impossible to hunt them.
Yeah, and that one I think rolled in a good spot. So they did a double. So they doubled up. So it was him and my brother-in-law. And they were up there, and there was 2 legal rams together. And so they did 1, 2, 3.
Sweet.
Boom, boom.
Yes.
And this one rolled in a great spot. The other one rolled in a bad spot. And so 2 different, like they both ran separate directions. And then so they had to kick. One had to crawl in their belly, get down there. Actually, it was my little brother Trevor, because he was more brave than my brother-in-law. So he crawled down on his belly and gave him a good kick. So he'd roll to the bottom through the cliffs. Yeah, doll sheep. Realistically, when I saw that type of hunting, I was like, I don't know if I want to do a doll sheep, but
they're so cool.
There's parts of the state where it's like you kill them and they're just on these grassy plains.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want to kill one right there. I don't want to kill one where I feel like life or death. Mountain goats are like that. Mountain goats, it's like life or death.
Oh yeah, they're in ridiculous places. It's something that I honestly have never like gotten into, is the sheep hunting and the mountain goat hunting. For that reason, it's just because it's in some insane areas, and they're honestly hard to get a tag or actually get to where you can hunt them. And so I've never really pursued it, but we've actually been talking a little bit about it lately. Like, man, we're doing some really cool hunts, and we've got some, we're checking off some really cool animals off the list, and we just keep thinking, man, we need to add sheep to that list, and doll sheep are by far our favorite. But it's just a matter of, do we want to go there?
I'll give you a secret. So the secret is you have to convince some of your family members to move up there.
Yes.
And then you have. That's what we did.
Is that what you did? Is that how you got it?
Brother-in-law to move to Alaska. And now we get to enjoy the privileges of hunting up there without any guiding fees. So
that is the way to do it, because that's what kills you, is that guide fee. If we didn't have that, man, it wouldn't be that bad.
Yeah, it was so weird when we did Kodiak Island mountain goats. It's like, I bought mountain goat tag, and they're like, how many do you want? And I'm like, wait, what? If I was to, if I had wanted to hunt Utah or Idaho for mountain goats, it's like a lifetime to draw the tag.
That's 30 years.
Yeah. And they're like, you're sitting at Walmart and they're in the little corner there, and they're like, oh yeah, how many do you want? And I'm like, well, I'm good with one. I'm good with one.
How many can you get? Can you get like 4?
Huh?
Can you get 4 of them? Like, how many can you get?
So you're required 1 billy. Like you can't not required 1 billy. I think you're required a couple nannies, because what happens, everybody wants to shoot a billy.
Right.
So it's like you can get like 3 or 4 tags, but I think, don't quote me on that, but I know you can get a couple.
That's crazy.
But you're required to like kill a nanny out
Okay.
of the group. So you can't, I think you're only allowed 1 billy.
But
It's like an either sex. It's just you can't kill 2 billies, I think is what it goes.
Gotcha.
But I just wanted a billy.
I was gonna say,
I just want one, and I want a billy.
I only want to carry 1 off the mountain, so yes, thank you, sir. 1 is plenty.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. And they're oddly enough, goats are small.
Yeah, that's true.
They're not. They look huge with all their fur, but when you walk up to them, you're like, oh, you look as big as a deer. Like,
yeah. I've thought that, like when I watch videos of people like on YouTube when they shoot them, and you see them up on the mountainside and they look huge standing on the rocks, and then when they actually like walk up and grab them for the the glory shot picture, like they look a lot smaller than you would think they are.
There's all fur and
crazy.
Fair amount of meat on them.
Yeah,
a lot of body. There's not a lot of legs. There's just a lot of body.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
It's like imagine a deer with just like little teeny legs. That's just kind of what their body structure is like.
One of these days, I need to get into it. I need to just start, start checking some of those off the list. I think they're beautiful. Mountain goat and doll sheep are 2 of the prettiest animals out there.
Gorgeous. Yeah, they are.
Well, cool, man. Well, let's jump into it, because I don't want to take your entire afternoon. I know you got things to do and whatnot. And so you said you went and got some wolf bait. So, that's always a fun thing to be doing. But I want to kind of couple things I want to talk about. I've been excited to get you on the podcast and chat with you a little bit and get to know you one better as a person and your platform and everything that you're doing. So love to spend a little time today talking about Stuck in the Rut and kind of like who all is involved with it, and just get my listeners familiar with Stuck in the Rut. And then I'd love to spend some time talking about 360 Sportsman. Are you good with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's start with Stuck in the Rut, man. I'm so curious. So I've seen your stuff forever. I've been watching your guys' stuff. I love your YouTube and whatnot. But for my listeners that aren't familiar with your platform and what you guys have out there, can you just tell us a little bit about it? Like why did you guys start it, and yeah, who's involved and what's going on with it?
Oh yeah. So I mean, I think we knew we had something going on for us, at a young age. I mean, obviously my dad was a really hardcore hunter and logger, so we got on the schedule of work hard, play hard sort of thing. Yeah. I mean, I know that's kind of a very popular motto now, but we learned, hard work ethic, and we hunted hard. And my dad was archery hunting, in the 90s, like 1980s, roughly, and so he was archery hunting at a very early age, and he's, even just like before the bugle was even invented, I guess you could say. Everybody was, I guess, using what they were like he was explaining like a pipe you'd buy from the store. You'd like the
old vacuum hose things that they used to go and buy.
Yeah, vacuum hose, and it just like let a whistle out.
Yeah.
And so that's what they started with. And then I feel like we grew up a lot with Abe and Sons calls. So like bugles and cow calls, and that were kind of like one of the original builders of the mouth reed too. It's for what I know, And then everybody kind of just went on from there. But anyways, but we just had a really good background with hunting. My dad had years of experience. And of course, with someone like that passing down to your kids, you kind of have a head start with other people. Yeah. Because here I am, I'm in my teens, and I already have a head start with knowledge and how to hunt. And I still feel like it didn't take till my 20s to where I could really, really figure out hunting and certain animals' behaviors. I'd say in my teens, I was pretty selective with certain species, but like elk and muleys were one of those animals I had a really hard time waiting to kill a big mature one. But past my 20s, I feel like it's, I started waiting for the big bull elk, passing the young ones up. Same with muleys, passing up on them. And but like I said, at a young age, just in our neck of the woods, without even without a YouTube channel or anything, our family in general gained a reputation and success. We were killing big stuff. We were knocking big stuff on the ground. We had a combination between people that really liked us and wanted, and idolized our success. We had a fair share of local hate as well, which is one of those things you just can't help. Right. It doesn't matter what you do. You can't stop hate, right. Jealousy. Sadly. It just is what it is. At a young age, I took it personally. I'm just like, why do people hate us? I don't get it. Why, like if we kill something big and all of a sudden you get a bunch of smack talk. This is before Facebook, right? Right. And you're just like, why is people smack talking us? I don't understand. And because I'm happy for other people, right? Right. But anyways, I just learned people are going to be people. Yep. And just surround yourself with the good people, right? And so I've just learned that at an early age too. And but we knew we had something going for us, and we're like, we need to start filming our hunts. I think the one thing that a lot of people have a misconception of is, when you want to get in the hunting industry and make money, you think, oh, like a professional, like let's say there's a professional football player, professional baseball player. You think, oh, I'm just going to have a camera guy follow me in the woods. People recognize our skill, and we're just going to have money sent to us. Or we're going to have No, it's not like that. You have to put in your own time filming yourself and get it out there, because realistically, nobody knows what you're doing. No, unless you have to kind of promote yourself. And that's a part I don't like, because I like keeping stuff to myself in some way, where I'm like, I don't like to be the braggy type person, but it's like, well, in order to make money or to get anywhere in the hunting industry, you have to promote yourself. You have to take photos. You have to show yourself on social media of everything you're doing. And it's something that we want to do. We want to make living doing what we love to do. Right. And so we started off filming our hunts. I'd say successfully filming our hunts about 2011. That was when
Wow.
it took us a couple years to figure it out. We'd
Mm-hmm.
film, getting the camera out, big bulls coming in. My brother said, screw the camera,
Throw
throw
it
the
away.
camera down. and let's just focus on killing the thing, and then the animal's not on film, right? And then
Right.
you're like, oh, we messed up again. It took about 2 years, and about 2011 is when we're like finally dedicating the camera.
Mm-hmm.
And we would take turns as family members, right? So like myself and my brothers, I have two brothers, and
Oh,
I've, the doll sheep. So I have Trevor, Travis, he's my older brother.
okay.
Trevor's my younger brother. And my sister's Tana. She's younger by a couple years. And then married my brother-in-law so my sister and brother-in-law live in Alaska.
Uh-huh.
And so that's kind of the dynamic of our family, but really Stuck N Rut is our family.
Mm.
It's our family. And sometimes we'll bring our close friends on hunts, but we're not grabbing random people doing hunts with them. We keep it as close as we can, keep it within the family. Like I said, sometimes a close friend hunts with us, and that's great too. And so, we you can use the term Stuck N Rut team, but we always call it the Stuck N Rut family,
I like it.
And it's when we have a Stuck N Rut meeting, it's our family.
Mm-hmm.
It's my brothers and my sisters, and it's usually during Christmas when we're all together. So that's when we have our yearly meeting and make new plans for our direction. But the YouTube channel started with me, because I was a little more on the YouTube, Facebook side of things. My older brother Travis started Stuck N Rut, but he was still a little old school with the, DVDs. So we were going to the Sportsman shows. We did the one in Salt Lake. We did the one in Portland, Oregon. Wow. And we were selling the DVDs.
That's awesome.
Yeah. In the early times. And they were selling great, but I was like, we need to start. I saw the writing on the wall, and there was nobody doing YouTube for hunting. I'm like, we need to start YouTube and a YouTube channel. And Trav is like, but I hate giving videos out for free.
Right.
We can make money on the videos. But what I've kind of gathered is like, you got to build the following first.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get people's attention. And so we started posting a couple of videos, and it took about a couple years for my brother to get convinced to do these videos. And finally we started uploading them. And when we go to the shows, people are like, oh, I love your guys' videos. And we had some videos on the Sportsman channel at the time too. And we're like, well, where do you know us from? Is it from the Sportsman channel? Is it from our DVDs? What is it from? And they're just like, your YouTube channel.
Oh,
At that time, we only had a couple videos. We didn't really have a lot, but we realized we had something going for us. So then we started just flooding YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And what really was, people had really enjoyed our videos because they were unique, different, and they were raw.
Yeah.
And when I mean raw, I feel like a lot of people, I feel like the direction of hunting videos got to a point, even on the Sportsman channel, where like everything had to be beautified and artistic in some way. I don't have the words for it, but it got to the point where it was no longer real.
Yeah.
And people couldn't relate to it.
I get what you're saying. I remember. Well, I've watched those Sportsman channel videos, and it's almost fake. And I don't want it to sound bad that I'm saying it that way.
Yeah.
But you can tell that it's not. You don't get the full experience. You get the highlighted experience of the hunt. There's a lot more to it than that. And so I don't know. I think raw. That's probably the best word for it, honestly.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like with YouTube, I can get away with a lot more too, at least back then, because Sportsman channel, they had a lot of rules with like, oh, the video has to be this long and that, and all these things. And it's like YouTube, I could post. And when I say unfiltered, I keep it clean. I don't like cussing or anything on there.
Right.
So that when the biggest compliment we get is from, people from all different religions saying, I can watch this hunt with my family.
Yep.
We have a lot of Mennonites and I don't want to say Amish, but like maybe breakoffs of Amish that can watch TV. But we get a lot of people like that like they love our channel because we edit it to where it's clean. The family can watch it, but the raw is a good one too, because, well, I'll tell you this. So like we've been told that our videos are too bloody, and it's like, well, we're just showing a hunt. Like if
Right.
an animal dies and you get a gush of blood out the side, that's the hunt.
That's a
the
good thing for us as
rolls
hunters.
down the hill.
Yeah.
That's the hunt. Like, and it was getting to a point even on a Sportsman channel where they're like, you can't show the animal tip over, you know, like it was just like, so like you'd watch the animal, somebody shoot the animal, right? And then it goes right to the hunters. It's like, why don't you show the animal tip over?
Yeah.
That's my favorite part.
That's my favorite. That's what I was just thinking. That's like my favorite part, watching them fall over.
Yeah. It's so YouTube, I mean, and now YouTube has kind of gotten a little weird, but it's kind of toned down again. So with YouTube, I started posting videos, gained a fair amount of following. I think we're right now, well, I'm editing videos. So last I checked, 328,000 subscribers.
Wow.
So right now, if millions of views.
Wow.
With everything combined.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's a lot of followers. But you did get in on it early, and I mean, you know, just I've watched your videos, and I'd say I found you guys probably, I'd say 4 or 5 years ago, and so I started watching all your stuff. But yeah, you've got a lot of stuff that goes way back. In fact, I'm sure I haven't seen all of your stuff, but you've been at it for quite a while and kind of got into the game sooner than most of us did.
Yeah. And I felt like, thank goodness that we did that.
Yeah. Because it's really crazy now.
It's hard to start YouTube now.
Yeah.
But I feel like you have now with the following you have and stuff, we have a little more leverage with if we need sponsorships or anything like that. But one of our biggest goals with Stuck N The Rut is to be real and to keep our authenticness with everybody. And we never wanted to do the sponsorship thing. We're just like, we want to make video or we want to make money in the hunting industry. Of course, who doesn't want to do what they love to do for a living, right? So we avoided the sponsorship thing just because we felt like maybe people were, you know, they didn't want to feel like that's a company had control over us, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That when we do a hunt, I don't have to say, this is what I wear.
Yeah.
This is what I shoot. But I've actually found that people like that though too, because we get a lot of questions like, what? Tell us what you're shooting. Yeah. Tell us what you're wearing. And it's like, okay, so every so often, be like, yeah, this is what we're wearing. But then we started realizing we're doing free advertising for companies, and they're not paying us a dime. And then we're like, that's not fair.
Right.
And so then we start reaching out to companies and say, hey, we already use your product. We've probably made you lots of money without even knowing. Can we make a deal to where we can, you know, let's help each other out. And so that's kind of how we work. We never want to make the mistake and going with a company we don't like, but just because they give us a big dollar sign, we say yes. Right.
Right.
We want to keep the trust of the people that are following us.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the direction we go, but we also try to find somewhat side hustles too, where we don't have to feel like we need the sponsorships, right? Where we feel like we're still helping people out. We still make money in the hunting industry. At the same time, I can still do what I want to do. Yeah. I can hunt what I want to hunt. I don't have somebody tell me, we want you to do a hunt on I'm like, well, I don't want to do that hunt. I want to hunt elk. Archery, right. You know? Yeah. So we like freedom. Yeah. We like freedom. So.
I don't know that I would enjoy it if it got to that point where someone's telling me where I have to hunt, what I have to wear, what I have to say. You know, if it got that strict, then it's almost taking the fun out of what we do. Like you're saying, like all of us, I mean, yeah, I'd love to make a living in the hunting industry. It's fun. It's what I love to do. And why not make money doing it? You know, that's a great place to be. But I do think you can get to that edge where it's like, it's too big, we're doing too much, and there's way too much influence on what we're doing, and I think it changes people, you know, because what Stuck N Rut is right now, you know, if you let some of that stuff influence you, it wouldn't be what it is, and it's not what you set out to make it, you know, what you set out to be.
Yeah. And then we did have a production one time, so we did a collab with a company, and we're like, they edited the video and they made it a little arty, right? Like they made it artsy, and read the comments. Like it was a really good production, really good video. People are like, I hate this video. Like bring back the old Stuck N The Rut. And we're like, okay, we've heard you. People, we'll go back.
Do you do all your own editing? Like all the videos that are going up right now, are you editing them all?
Sadly, yes.
Wow, Tom, that's impressive, man. That's some serious editing skills.
Well, the problem is that's why it comes out so late too. So people are like, "Why haven't I seen a video?" Well, it's because I've been hunting.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
Like, it's so hard to take off time during hunting season.
Yeah.
But we have, yeah. So right now, this is my window right now to edit. So I'm not working this month, and I'm just editing videos, and so that's what I'm doing. And yeah, it is a lot of dedication. Thank you for noticing.
Yeah, it is, man. Like your videos are they're very well done. I mean, it's very professional the way that you edit them and put them together, and the way that it flows. So, I mean, obviously creating my own YouTube videos, I'm always like looking at other people's videos for inspiration and what people are doing. And so, yeah, I watch a lot of your guys' stuff and what you're putting out there. But I was gonna say, I honestly, like, we're all busy during the hunt. I'm not watching that many hunting videos during hunting season. I'm always watching them from like January 1st to like April 1st. Like that's when I watch most of my hunting videos. So I think you're hitting it right at the right time. I think it's good that you wait to put them out.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like it. I feel like I do. Yeah. and I notice the summers, I do notice it slows down in the summers. And I think everybody's just out busy and working and doing whatever they do.
Yeah.
And I mean, I am too. And so, yeah, this is the good time of the year. But I feel like I am starting a little late because I got my first episode out last week. And I'm like, ooh, okay, like, let's get them cranking. Let's get them rolling. And so that's what I'm doing right now.
You're a busy guy, man. You got a lot of irons in the fire. You got a lot of stuff going on. So is this what you're doing full time, or do you have a full-time job as well?
No. So I still, I somehow I ended up, just following my roots, and I'm back working in the woods again, and just kind of doing the same type of projects my dad did. And sometimes we'll still, my dad, he's a workaholic, and he's still, to this day, he's in his late 60s and still puts a full day working in the woods, chainsawing and stuff. He's an animal.
Wow.
And if I hope and pray that I can do that when I'm his age,
keep you ripped, man. Whew.
Yeah. He says he honestly, he'll tell me all the time. He's like, my joints hurt more in my 30s than they do now. He's like, I've been in the best shape I ever have. I'm like,
really?
Yeah. He's in really good shape.
That's impressive. That is super impressive. I mean, that's a good thing about doing that kind of work, is it does keep you fit.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I am doing right now. But I mean, growing up, I've tried a lot of different jobs. So I tried the sales because I was in college. And so you have all those companies that are recruiting. So they're like, hey, try sales for a summer. And I'm like, okay. So I did a couple years of that. And I've tried some other jobs, especially when I was young and single. I'm like, I worked in North Dakota. I did that work. And then now that I'm married and I have kids, I'm like, I need to settle down a little bit. And realistically, I've just found like, hey, this is I don't want to say comfortable work because it's hard labor, but I hate chasing.
Right. Money. It's what it's there and it's available, and you know how to do it, kind of a thing.
Yeah. And well, the thing is, in our area, my dad for years built a good reputation. So we don't even advertise, and I just get calls of people that want property cleaned up and stuff. And so that's what I do. And we're good at it because I've been doing that since I was a teenager.
Right.
I remember as a teenager saying, I can't wait till I go to college and get a job and stuff. And I'm like, 20 something years later, I'm doing the same thing I did when I was 15 years old.
Hey, if you're good at something, you stick at it. That's my belief, man.
Hey, it pays the bills. So
if it pays the bills and it lets you go and do the fun stuff that you want to do, I always tell people, like kids are always asking me like what they want, what they should do, like, because they love to hunt, but they also want a job that's going to pay the bills. It's like, I get that, you got to do that, but you also have to have that job that's going to allow you to go and do the fun things. If you have a job that straps you down, like the North Dakota jobs, man, that just robs your time. That takes you're doing it all the time, and if you're doing that and you can't go enjoy life, then what's the point of life? I don't live to work.
I made that clear. Oh, sorry, I was cutting you off.
Oh no, you're good.
I was saying that when I remember North Dakota, it was 2014, and I had a moose hunt planned in Alaska, right? And it was getting close to the time where I was going to go on this hunt, and my boss says to me, I won't give the name, but it was just a funny story, right? He's like, I don't know if he was testing, but he's like, yeah, I can't have you go on that hunt. I need you. And I'm like, sorry, I'm going on this hunt. And he said, well, if you come back after your moose hunt, don't expect a job here still. And I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm like, I will never not hunt a fall. The reason why I stopped college is because I couldn't find a job that let me hunt. So I'm not going to let a North Dakota oil field job stop me from hunting.
No way.
And so I went on the hunt, came back, and he's like, well, I did promise you that I'd give you time off to hunt. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, you can come back.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yeah,
he needs you.
Yeah. Okay.
Any job that doesn't allow you to go hunting, it's not a job you want.
So that's why I do what I do now. Is I mean, I'm self-employed, so I do what I want, and and I just have to make it clear with the clients that I have. And we used to log and just we were living on the sale of the lumber, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now we're doing more of, I've kind of transitioned, our family has, well, between me and my dad, we've kind of transitioned into doing like property cleanup type jobs. So fire reduction, cleaning land up, the part of Idaho we live in, it's really thick. And so we have to clean up the thick areas and stuff. People are afraid of fires. I mean, throughout the country, everybody's afraid of fires, right? Yeah. And so it's a great job and it keeps us busy. And like I said, it's something I've been, thinning trees and that sort of thing. I've been doing that for years. And to be able to walk in a forest, and I'm not trying to brag, but I'm like, I probably know more about trees than most Forest Service guys.
Right.
Like I can go through and I can tell you if that tree's going to live or it's not. I know a lot about trees and shrubbery. And honestly, a lot of that ties into hunting too, because I'm working in the same areas that I hunt too. And I've done a lot of that. A lot of the hunting that I did as a young kid were in places that my dad had found through his logging jobs. And so he'd log he'd do a timber sale up in the mountains somewhere, and he'd find a wallow or he'd find elk trails, or with the logging, it created new habitat. Right. So because sometimes some of our forests, they get so thick that there's no underbrush growing or no grass. And so it kind of chokes out all the feed and the browse. Yeah. And so you get a mountain where you log it, and then a couple years later, that low undergrowth starts coming up. You get brush, you get grass growing. All of a sudden, it's almost like a farm field where deer and elk are hitting it on the daily. Yeah. Right. And so it's almost like what people think logging destroys habitat. In a lot of ways, it creates habitat. And we grew up loving logging, because it's like some of the biggest animals I killed were on logging jobs, or previous logging jobs where, there's a part of the mountain that's been logged, and look, animals love it. And so because the habitat is beneficial to them. Yeah. So, it all ties in together in some way, shape, or form. I'm always in the woods.
That's what I was just going to say. You're always out in the woods. In fact, I was telling Rick on my last podcast, I'm like, man, I wish I would have got a job, like even a wildlife biologist or something like that, that way my job was like out in the woods, in the mountains. Because then you can be working, but you could also be scouting at the same time. So I'm sure when you're out there cutting trees and whatnot, you're scouting and looking for sign and looking for animals. And I think that's a huge benefit to be able to do that. So that's awesome.
Exactly. And then on private ground, I can actually control what grows too. Yeah. And so I've done this where, it's like, I'm not necessarily creating a food plot, but after you log and clean up everything, go through with some good clover, plant a couple good brush, and all of a sudden you created your own little oasis. And there was an area that we logged, and my dad used to own it, but unfortunately he sold it now. But he owned it was a little over 100 acres or so.
Oh wow.
We logged it.
Wow.
We spaced the trees out. So we did what's called a selective log, where you space the trees out. We planted clover. We planted other stuff in there that the deer and elk like, and we went from just a couple animals showing up in there. I mean, we had cameras all over there. So when we first started the job, there was nothing coming in. And then all of a sudden, a couple years down the road, we had close to a dozen different whitetail bucks showing up.
Really?
We had elk actively using it. We killed every predator in sight. Yeah. And so it became quite the oasis in there. So
that's like every hunter's dream, is to have a 100-acre plot of land where there's just an oasis for elk and deer.
Yeah. Like I said, unfortunately, they sold that piece,
Dang.
but my dad still owns land. But honestly, I spend most of my time on public ground.
Yeah.
It's hard to own thousands and thousands of
It
acres.
is. It is. And you
And
know what? We live in the West where there's so much good public land. There's so many opportunities
comparative to the East, yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've got some buddies that even live, Midwest, East, even down South, and they're always struggling. They get like this little postage stamp to hunt on every year. They have to get a hunting lease to go hunt this little private area, and it's like, oh man, like it'd be cool to have the private land, but at the same time, like I'd much rather have the thousands, millions of acres that we have of public land to hunt. It's more adventure to me.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. And yeah, like, when you learn about elk too, like it's hard to keep elk on 100 acres.
Oh yeah. It's impossible.
Yeah. Elk are elk, right?
Yeah.
And so they travel several miles, and yeah, their range is big.
Oh yeah,
And
for
so
sure.
You got to be pretty wealthy to own. Yeah. I mean, there is big plots of land in Montana where there's thousands of acres that
Yeah.
you're just like, man, I'm jealous.
Yeah.
It's okay to be jealous. Okay. So I'm jealous of that.
I'm jealous of you and what you get to do. So,
but I'm still happy for him.
Exactly.
I'm happy that this person owns 20,000 acres.
yeah.
But I wish it was me.
I was gonna say, I wish it was me. Maybe someday it will be, but probably not.
Yeah. Well, the way I work, no, probably not.
Yeah.
I need to. Yeah, I need to make an app or something. I don't even know.
I was gonna say, you got to be a tech guy or something like that to make that kind of money these days. It's just not happening for us normal guys anymore.
Yeah, no, I just work to play. So
Exactly.
It's kind of it's a sick cycle, really. Like I just work enough, have enough money, and then this time of year, it's like, gosh, and I got to make all that money back again after hunting season.
Exactly.
It's just this cycle,
this endless cycle. But you have fun. You live your life and you have fun, and it's joy.
Yeah. What do they say about making money in the hunting industry? It's like, you want to be a millionaire, start with $1 billion.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
That is pretty much it in the hunting industry right there.
Yeah. No, but I love it.
It's
And
good.
I love the connections I made over the years too. And we'll be going to the Salt Lake show. I'm assuming you're in Salt Lake, right?
So
or not Salt Lake, but you live in Utah.
I'm south of Salt Lake. Sadly, I mean, I shouldn't say sadly because it's a fun reason not to go. So I won't be at the show this year. We had
realistically, you're not missing. There's a lot of great people that talk to there, but it's like too many people.
And I go every year and I see okay. So I love this podcast. This podcast is like the best thing ever because I get to talk to cool people like you. And so like my favorite thing about the show, the expo, is like I go throughout this entire year of talking to new people, getting to know new people. And so then I love the show because then like I can go and I could shake your hand and be like, hey Tom, I'm Taryn, we did our podcast and just be able to be more personal with like people like you. So that's why I love the show. Other than that, it's the same booths every year. It's the same thing. Like, so I don't need to go every year. And so we booked a trip to Mexico like a year ago. Yeah. And we're like, oh, we're going to miss the expo. We'll still be able to make it to the expo. Well, we didn't. So I actually leave tomorrow for Mexico, and then I don't come back until the following Sunday. So
you're going after muleys, or what do you want?
I'm going after the beach.
Oh, the beach.
Yeah, this is a wife trip. Me and my buddy, so my hunting buddy that it goes with me everywhere. We're taking our wives to Mexico. That's one thing I always tell people. Like, if you want to go on extravagant hunts and do all these things, you got to take care of the wife first. So this is taking care of the wife so that we can go have some fun hunting trips.
Hey, I just had the same thing. So
did you?
It was a full month in Alaska in September, and when I got back, my wife was really tired. She's like, I support your hobby, and I know we have 2 more months of hunting season here, but that you killed me with a full month being gone.
It's a long time.
And I was like, I promise you get to choose what vacation do you want? And I was like, I offered Hawaii. She chose New Orleans.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay. But she did some family history, and she got really curious. That's where her ancestors were originally from, was from New Orleans.
Oh, nice.
So she wanted to go down there and explore that. So her and her friend, it was a her and her friend trip. So
Gotcha.
that was my trade back, was her doing that trip.
You got to do it, man. You got happy wife, happy life, man. You got to keep her happy. She's number one. If she's happy, then you'll be able to go do some of the hunts that you want to do.
Oh yeah. And then I learned, like, wow, it's it's a lot of work to be a stay-at-home mom, because and then I had to be a stay-at-home dad with the kids, and oh my gosh, I'm like, okay, I'm ready for her to come back.
I couldn't do it, man. I could not be a stay-at-home dad. I love my kids to death, but it's a lot of work to be a stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home dad.
Oh, it is. It is. I thought I'm patient. I'm like, oh, I'm patient. I can sit for hours in a tree stand, or I could sit for hours in a hunting blind. No, I realize how impatient I am until you throw a couple kids around me.
Yeah, I'm the exact same way, man. Same way.
Oh man.
Well, hey, I want to talk to you about 360 Sportsman, because Taylor's the one that hooked us up together, and I'm super stoked about what's going on with 360 Sportsman. And man, you've got a lot of master classes that you've done and coming up, and you've been busy. So I'm curious, how'd you get connected with Taylor?
So I already had a master class. I had 2 master classes already going, but I started about 3 years ago, and I had a great, awesome person help me out and set me up with that. But the unfortunate thing is, then this individual decided to take a different business endeavor. And so I no longer had help with the tech side of things. So I felt like I was still making money every year on my master classes, but I felt like I was flatlining, in the sense of, like, I couldn't grow, I couldn't build my website up, things like that. And I was just like, gosh, like, this is probably, and it's honestly been one of my best successes when the hunting industry is my master class. I've done great with my master classes. Like, I love it. It gives me more free time to hunt. And also it helps other people hunt too. So it's a win-win for everybody. And teaching people to, to break that learning curve and hunting muleys and wolves and everything else. But I tried to get in contact with some other people doing master classes, and there was just, like, everybody's techniques were a little different. And it was just like, I never really made a good connection with someone to help me out with the master classes. And a really good friend of mine, Lindsay, who's doing the master classes with 360 Sportsman. She's told me about Taylor, and she said, hey, Taylor's looking for a guy to do wolf. And so I talked to Taylor, and he told me what 360 is all about. And then I had to think about it for a couple of days, because, like I said, realistically, my master classes are doing well. But I'm like, because I know that if I do 360, then also I don't get the full percentage, right? But then I thought about it, and I was like, I thought about the people that are doing the master classes. I'm like, I need to do this for them, not just for me.
Yeah.
And having a good quality website, to have an actual app where you can click on and watch these videos and have really good access. I have people that, it's like all these tech things where, like, I can't log in. And I'm like, well, let me try figuring that out for you. Now it's, you're in good hands. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I can make the videos. I can like, I'm an editor, so I can make the videos and stuff. Can I make a website and consistently work on the bugs on a website? No.
It's tough.
It's
tough.
That's not me. So it was, I had to think about it for a couple of days, and I contacted him, like, yes, let's do it, and now something that I've always wanted to do is I wanted to do more. And so I wanted to do a bear masterclass. I wanted to do an elk masterclass, and I haven't been able to do those before. Yeah. And so now we're going to do that. So right now at this time, we have a wolf masterclass, like wolf hunting, a mule deer masterclass. And it's for, and if, people ask, well, is this for beginners or people that have more experience? I do both. And so I teach it at a basic level, and then I teach it at a more advanced level if you're actually pursuing not just muleys, but big muleys. Same with wolves. Wolves, I have to teach the basics. And the thing is, like we talked about, I've been in the woods a lot. And so I don't even have to, like, I can drive a pickup down the road. And if I see a pair of tracks run across the road in the snow, I don't have to stop and look at the tracks to tell you what it is. Just from the stride, I could be like, that's a deer, or that's a wolf, or that's a mountain lion. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so, but I'll get, no joke. And this is, again, I'm not dissing anybody, but like, sometimes I'll get messages online. They're like, hey, I just came across these tracks. Is this a wolf? I'm like, that's a rabbit. Like, that's not a wolf. And it's just because, the rabbits have big back feet. And so when they go downhill, they'll spread out a little. Mm-hmm. So somebody sends me a photo. I'm like, that's a rabbit. And they're like, no, it's not a rabbit. I'm like, it's a rabbit. And or like they'll send me a photo of a coyote, right?
That's what I thought you were going to say, is they send you a photo of a coyote track and this is a wolf track. Like, that one makes a little bit more sense, but
they're just an actual coyote. So they take a photo of a coyote in the field.
Oh.
And then they're like, and it's running, or just a little video, and it's running across without, it could even be out in the distance, and I can't really see the features of the face, but just the way it trots, I'm like, yeah, coyote. Like,
yep.
The coyote trots are different than wolves.
Right.
And so for me, that comes naturally just because I've been around these animals, right? Mm-hmm. But for other people, it's new, right? Like and this, again, it's nothing against them. It's just like, if you're a hunter, but you have to work in the city and you don't get to spend a lot of the time, you have to follow where the money is. Mm-hmm. You don't have time to do all that hard work and doing research and learning about the animal's behavior. And a lot of times they only get a week off to hunt. Right. And I take off the whole 3 months.
You lucky dog.
So I just hunt, and I'm always in the woods.
Yeah.
And a lot of my spring bear hunts are literally just like after work, like, oh, run up to the mountains really quick. But that's what it's sacrifice though too, right? I'm sacrificing. I'm not I don't consider myself wealthy. I don't make a lot of money, but I live a comfortable life because I try to be as comfortable as I can. But
well, it's those skills that have allowed you to do that too. Like you said, you've spent your whole life in the mountains and in the woods, and it's those skills that have helped you be able to get to where you're at and be able to do these master classes or the videos or things like that. And so, I think that giving yourself credit, I guess, is kind of what I'm saying. I'm trying to brag for you without you having to do it. You know what I'm saying? But like, you've got those skills from just being out there that you're able to do that.
Yeah. And so, yeah, exactly. And so, we got the knowledge and then, and just in my age too. So one of the biggest challenges that we faced here is the wolves. And so we did have wolves in our area. And if anybody has experienced wolves, will know like what they can do to an area, how they can wipe out an area. Mm-hmm. What really made me a good elk and mule deer hunter was hunting areas that lacked elk and mule deer.
Yeah.
And still pulling out mature elk and mature muleys. Even some of the guys that I looked up to stopped killing big muleys and big bull elk. Mm-hmm. And for us and our family and still pulling big animals off the mountain, I knew we had something too. It's just like, and I think it's something too, I don't want to say like, I'm like, well, why does anybody want to listen to me? But it's like, hey, the proof's in the pudding. You're still putting big animals down. We're obviously doing something right. So teach everybody the basics and from advanced too. And, so that's how I came up with the master class. And so with the mule deer, this is what to expect in the mule deer master class is, I teach everything from behavior to habitat to where you can just about go anywhere in the US and hunt muleys. And it applies to that area. Cause the thing is I travel a lot. So I haven't just killed muleys locally I've killed muleys in the heavy timber country at 25, 30 yards.
Yeah.
I've killed them in the wide open sagebrush country at 700-800 yards. Our family, we've archery muleys, we've killed them. We've done it all. And so I lie. Desert. So like I'm talking cactus. That's the only thing it really doesn't apply to is those cactus bucks.
Right.
Like let's say like you're hunting Mexico mule deer, and they're licking cactus. No, I don't have any of that experience. But I've hunted a lot of sagebrush country. We've hunted a lot of, heavy timber country. Well, the one thing I learned too is and especially when I first started hunting the sagebrush country, I'm like, I first was under the impression that these muleys were different. And I was like, and I've learned that's wrong. All muleys are the same. It's just, it's their habitat, right?
Yeah.
So if I put a mule deer that's used to heavy timber, almost like a blacktail, and you put them in sagebrush country, eventually that mule deer is going to adapt to its habitat, right? You bring a mule deer in the sagebrush country up in heavy, thick forest, steep mountains, they're going to adapt to that. And so some muleys are really migration. They'll travel several hundred miles to migrate.
Yeah.
Others are stubborn. They won't even leave off the mountain, even in belly deep snow. So it's what deer adapt to. It all depends on that. And so I teach all that. And probably one of my favorite my favorite feedback I get is from experienced hunters. And those are the ones I'm like, okay, let's see what an experienced hunter has to say about it. Because he took the master class. And what I always get is just like, some experienced hunters message me, they're like, there's something. So when I took your master class, it's something that I always noticed mule deer do, but I kind of put it off to the side, like a certain behavior they had. But you teaching me that, like why they do what they do, changed the way I hunt.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's really cool, and
that's
a lot of that,
about.
like you simply like just snow, for example, like just snow conditions alone can change from snow being soft, from snow being hard. Like that can change exactly where that pocket of muleys are at. You know what I mean?
Right. So you go into that much depth, like you go into exactly like where, if a habitat is a certain way, or weather patterns are a certain way, how they're going to move, where they're going to kind of migrate to. You go into that much depth in these master classes.
I do.
Wow.
with the muleys for sure. And so, yeah. And then also a lot of people don't know this too, because, like I said, we have a lot of different techniques in how to hunt muleys. And we've built a lot of our techniques in hunting the timber country, and it just works really well in the sagebrush country too. Because a lot of people are so used to hunting open country, right? So when it comes to the timber, they don't even know what to do with themselves.
Right.
And a lot of people don't know you can call in mule deer. And I've called in quite a few. I've rattled muleys in just like a whitetail. I've grunted muleys. I've bleated muleys in. And so there's a lot that goes into that as well. So that's what to expect with the mule deer course.
Okay.
And
what about
the wolf one?
Yeah, let's say, what about the wolf one? I feel like that one is going to be like a very popular course because, well, I get there's more people that hunt mule deer, but I think there's a lot of people like, oh, I know how to hunt mule deer. But I think when it comes to wolves, people are like, I have no idea where to even start with that.
And that's kind of why I started the mule deer first when I created the master class. I did it because I wanted to be first.
Yeah.
And then the wolf one, I felt like I had time because there was not a lot of people out there that were successfully harvesting wolves. So when I created the wolf master class, I was like, I got time. And, there was guys that were picking up the trapping side of things, but the hunting people were really struggling with. And again, it was just one of those things where I had to put in a lot of time in the mountains. It took a little later in my life to learn about hunting wolves just because wolves haven't been in Idaho that long.
Right.
And so, we haven't had a hunting season until 2011 on wolves.
Yeah.
So as of right now, I've been hunting them for over a decade, And so then, but it was literally probably about a 4-year learning curve till I finally understood how to hunt them.
Wow.
But what really helped me out the most was understanding their behavior. And that's the one thing I have to teach too is, because I get a lot of questions online, right? And so when I built the master classes, sure, I'll do a kind of I'll ask people, what do you want to learn? And what questions do you have? And I say this all the time. People ask the wrong questions. People think they know what they're missing, but they don't.
Yeah.
I apply this to nutrition too, right? So we can go through and you could talk about, oh, if I take this medication, I can lose weight, right? And it's like, what is the basics to losing weight?
Diet and exercise.
Diet and exercise, right?
Yep.
Just like, but everybody overlooks that, oh, if I drink this special juice from the Himalayas, then I can lose this much weight. It's like, why don't you just start with your basic raw diet and
Yeah.
stop eating junk food?
Eat real food and quit eating crap.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I feel like, again, it's just like, I don't think a lot of people know that they're missing. People are looking beyond the mark.
Yeah.
Sometimes people are like, I don't really think they need to know certain things. And I'm like, well, you do. Like, they think they need to know hunting tactics, but maybe their mistake is they don't even understand the animal they're hunting.
Right.
They think they need to know the location, right? Like, well, I just need help in knowing where to hunt. And what I laugh about too is sometimes I get local guys that'll say that, like, I just don't know where to hunt. And I'm like, dude, I've seen you on the same mountain as I do. They think that, like, guess what? I know where you hunt now, so now I'm going to kill. It's like, dude, like, we've been hunting the same mountains
Our whole lives.
our whole life. And so it's like, it has nothing to do with where I'm hunting. It's how I'm hunting the mountain.
Exactly.
So I just feel like some people don't ask the right questions, sometimes it's as simple as just learning more of the behavior of the animal to becoming a better hunter. It's not about where, it's about how.
Yeah.
And the other thing is following the people. And look, I use these apps, and it's like, oh, like, well, if I draw this unit, I can pull, you can pull a 170, 180-inch buck, right? So you see the apps.
Right.
Do you think you're the only one looking at that statistic?
You're one of 100,000 people looking at that same statistic.
Exactly. A lot of these places I hunt don't have those statistics.
Yeah.
In fact, they're overlooked. And so some of the muleys, including the ones behind me, like, I've killed a lot of 180 plus class muleys.
Yeah.
And they're in areas that are not known for 180 class bucks. And so it's knowing how to do it, right?
Yeah.
And the last thing I want to do, and look, I've hunted places where there's a lot of people. I just got back from Colorado this year, and talk about the pumpkin patch.
Oh man, it's
that's
mess.
like no different than Utah. Like, you hunt Utah, it's just like blaze orange fest as far as the eye can see.
Yep. Side by sides driving everywhere. There's a side by side on every single road going 100 miles an hour.
Oh, it's crazy.
It is.
But they're still deer, right? They're still deer, and you can still find them. Oh, and then I also, that's another thing I forgot to mention. I teach about how to hunt muleys in areas with high hunting pressure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and how to capitalize on those areas. Sometimes it can benefit you, and it'll push muleys in pockets into where you can find. You know what I mean? So I teach about that as well. Same with elk too, but which I'm gonna, like I said, I'm working on the elk masterclass right now.
So you said you're working on elk and bear. Is that what you said?
Elk and then bear. And when I mean bear, spring bear and fall bear, only spot and stock. So bear in their natural habitat, not overbait.
Okay.
Because I don't have experience in hunting bears overbait, to be honest with you. So, and I'll make that clear. If somebody's going to buy the class, I don't want them to buy it like, oh, I wanted to learn about how to bait bears.
Well,
you're not going to.
That's what I love about the 360 Sportsman is you can have multiple courses on the same species of animal, but it could be completely different hunting, and that could be for mule deer or elk or whatever. Yeah. But bear's a good example of that, and because baiting bear is going to be so much different than spot and stock bear.
Yeah, and I think they do. There is going to be, or maybe they already have one, a guy that teaches how to bait bears.
Yeah, it's in the works as of right now, which I think is going to be pretty cool. But I also think that, when you look at all the states that have bear hunting, there's very few of them that allow you to bait. And so I think the spot and stock is probably going to be more applicable to most hunters hunting bear.
Yeah, I think so as well. And we have, and that's the other thing too, is we have experience hunting the fall. Not every state,
right?
And again, not every state has a fall season, but we do. And so we've hunted spring bears, we've hunted fall bears, and again, I go back to the animal and just understanding the animal's behavior. And so with wolves, I will say this right now, that and anybody can argue with me, nobody has, that wolves are the most intelligent animal in North America.
Really?
And I tell people to change my mind. Wolves are incredibly smart.
That's an impressive statement right there.
It's a bold statement, but I tell you what, I can't think of an animal. I've killed some big bull elk that have outsmarted me. I've killed some big whitetails that have outsmarted me over time. But there's just something about a wolf. They just adapt to people so quickly. Our wolves are so wise that they understand a boot track in the snow. And so if you don't, like, let's say you set a trap and you don't wipe your track off, like, let's say, yeah, they won't touch the bait, because
No
even if there's a
way.
boot track like 50 yards from it, they're just like, oh, someone was here, let's not touch it. They're that tuned up now.
Wow.
Even to the point where there's actually, how you have a motion camera and it's on video mode. There's videos of wolves seeing the camera, like the alpha male, and stopping the whole pack, biting them and telling them to turn around because there's a motion
Wow.
camera.
Do you think that's because they've been hunted so much, or do you think that's just the nature of the wolf?
So it is because they've been hunted. So they
Okay.
learn, they adapt. They adapt really fast. So just like, you get an elk that's a herd bull, right?
Uh-huh.
It can sometimes take some time for them to adapt to human behavior, to where some areas they're just so heavily hunted that the bull won't even respond to a bugle from a hunter,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So some elk do learn that, but wolves are just so quick to adapt. So like, let's say I call in a wolf pack and I kill a couple and the whole wolf pack witnessed it. They will never, ever come into that call again.
Wow.
And if the young ones do, the alpha male will call them back and say, no, danger, come back. And I could wait 2 months. I could be 2 months, find that same pack again,
Uh-huh.
run the same dying rabbit distress call recording. And that alpha male gives a warning howl and they're leaving the country.
That's
But prior to that,
amazing.
because they never had experience, they'd come running in right in my lap. And so
That is
that's
amazing, because a coyote won't do that. When I don't know how much coyote hunting you've done, but coyotes, man, you can use the same sound and you can call in the same area a week apart and still call in this pretty much the same pack of coyotes. So that's unreal.
yeah. And I had that. It was funny. So the calls that I use, so for e-calls, I talked to the owner of the e-calls that I use, and he was just going off, and he's like, "Oh, wolves can't be any different than a coyote." And he starts going
Oh.
on and on and on, and I'm just like, "Let me stop you there." I mean, sure, a lot of their behavior is the same when it comes to their breeding season, when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to when they have their pups. Certain trapping methods work very similar to coyotes to wolves. But wolves have an intelligence like you wouldn't believe. Like, they
That's
never forget. They're like a freaking elephant. Like, when it comes to, they just do not forget.
that is
And when you have a
unreal.
big alpha, like if you have a big alpha that has never died, and and let's say a trapper has trapped out the entire pack, but the alpha is still alive.
Uh-huh.
3 years down the road, that alpha is going to teach those pups, exactly how to avoid all the traps and get to the bait and get out
Holy
of there. He's going to
smokes.
teach them, and it's insane. And I mean, I've had to learn. So the one thing I teach in the master class, because I've killed quite a few wolves hunting, is I teach about how to, not just how to call in a wolf pack, let me go step by step here, but without giving
I was gonna
you
say, don't give
all
the
the
don't
deets.
give the master class away.
No, it's a long master class, so there's not. It's definitely not given away. But I'm going to give you the challenges that wolf hunters face. And the hardest part about hunting wolves is finding them.
Yeah.
You can see tracks all day long, but you have to realize one wolf can travel 15, I mean, even 30 miles in a day's time, no problem. If you think of me as a hunter, I can put down 15 miles, like, on a full day mule deer hunting.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be exhausting, but I can do it. A wolf can travel a crazy amount of miles in a short amount of time and on a trot without even sweating.
Right.
So you have to realize, when you see wolf tracks, it doesn't mean you're close. It doesn't matter if it's that morning, like, ooh, these tracks are from this morning. It doesn't mean anything. They could be several miles away. They could be just around the corner.
Right.
So the hardest part, honestly, the easiest part is finding tracks. If there's wolves in the area, you'll find tracks.
Yeah.
And the hardest part about wolf hunting is finding the pack. And my techniques that I use, it takes me on average 4 days to find the pack.
Holy.
And then if you find the pack, you've done the hardest part. Now it's just executing.
Did your masterclass talk about what you're doing in those 4 days to find the pack? Like as far as like looking for sign or whatever, whatever different things you're doing. I honestly have no idea. I've never hunted wolves in my life, so I have no idea what you're doing to find them. But your masterclass talks about like all those different things you're doing through those days.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Go through the process. And you sometimes, I mean, and when I say 4 days, sometimes it's 8, sometimes it's 2.
Right.
I've even found them the same day, which is awesome. It's like,
sweet. Feel a little bit lucky on those days.
Yeah. But since, but what's funny though too is wolves are creatures of habit as well. So although they're super smart, super intelligent, they are creatures of habit. And so you have to utilize that, but you have to treat them as if, let's say somebody had a rat infestation. The only reason why I'm saying this is one of my summer sales was a pest control salesman.
Nice.
And so,
nice.
So rats, you can't just set traps and put bait on it because the rats, they're like, oh, like if one gets trapped, then none of them will touch traps, right? So you have to put bait on and without setting the traps and let them get comfortable, and then let it go for a long time, and then all of a sudden you set 8 traps and boom, you catch a bunch of rats, right? So same concept with wolves. I play a different role when it comes to wolf hunting than I do with a lot of animals, because you have one chance sometimes on a pack, and you have to make every shot count. You kill one wolf out of the pack and the whole pack witnessed it, they'll wise up and they'll never give you a chance again. What's nice is if you have the ability to kill every witness. And so, and I'll give you a story here if you're okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
With the story? Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
So this is when I was really starting to figure this out. So my brother and I located a pack, and so we set up, called big female, came out of the timber right out in the opening. He shot her and dropped her. And at this time we were shooting muzzle brakes, so it was really loud. The whole pack went quiet, stopped howling. And all of a sudden we got the pack howling again. We're like, okay, well, they're up the ridge a little bit farther. Let's keep moving. No wolves have witnessed that wolf is dead. They heard the gunshot.
Right.
But they really don't know what's going on yet. So we moved in the thick timber with them, and wolves feel really comfortable in that heavy timber because they're kind of hidden, right?
Right.
It's almost like as comfortable as them moving at nighttime. They just feel really safe in there. So we're in this thick brush, and my brother's like, don't, and he like moves me. He's the one with the gun. I'm the one calling. So he moves me, and I'm like, what? And he's like, there was one standing right next to you. How close? And he points. And I'm no joke, like 2 steps away from me, there was a wolf standing, a big male. But then when I looked, it was gone. It vanished,
Wow.
and so we were in pretty thick brush, if that tells you anything. They could be 15, 20 yards and I wouldn't see them.
Right.
But we get, and this, so what was happening is the wolves ahead of us were howling, and they were sending scouts in to circle us and figure out what's going on. And so the ones ahead of us, it seems like they're 100 yards ahead of us. So we keep going. This one keeps circling us, trying to figure out what we are. And I'm just letting off some small wolf calls, and to let, really quiet to where it keeps his attention. Well, finally, my brother had a shooting lane, and that male trotted through, and he shot that male, dropped him. And so we had 2 dead wolves. Well, and so we had to wait a little bit. The wolf hound stopped again. They heard that gunshot. They don't know, at that time, they still didn't know what was going on. Wait a little bit, got him howling again. Like, sweet, let's keep going. So we kept going, and they're still, it's a big pack. They're still howling. So we have 2 dead wolves, and we just dropped 2 waypoints, from Onyx. Like, dead wolf, let's keep going. And so we keep moving, and we get to another opening, and there's another wolf at a dead run, and Trav shoots and misses it. And so we airballed that one. That wolf, this sounds crazy. So that wolf went back to the pack, notified the pack, and they did a big circle around us and went right to where we shot the first one. And they did a sorrowful howl. And I kid you not. And and other wolf hunters will attest to this sorrowful howl. It sounded like a howl that was crying. And it was just like this, like this moaning and crying. And it was right at the waypoint where we had that first dead wolf, but we're way the freak up the mountain. And they just did this big loop to where the first one went,
Yeah.
And then they left the canyon, and they were out of there. And that wolf pack, you can never call them in again. You couldn't get them to howl. You couldn't get them to
for the rest of their lives. They'll never come into another call. They'll never howl. Like they'll completely stay away from anything remotely close to what that situation was.
Yeah, and so you have to change your tactics quite a bit with them, you know. So the next time you pursue that same wolf pack, you have to change your tactics. And sometimes they'll still howl. It's just it may not be the type of howling you know.
Well,
So when
yeah,
people hear
yeah.
howling, they're like, oh, they're coming in. And it's just like a herd bull elk. Because you hear an elk bugle doesn't mean he's coming in.
Right.
And the howl, they're talking to each other. They're communicating. It's so amazing. But when you start learning their vocalizations, which I do teach, and I give some examples of some sounds to pay attention to in the master class. Like if you hear this howl, he's leaving. If you hear this howl, he's interested. You know, like I mentioned that in the master class, and I give some examples of recordings that I've had when I've had to approach wolves a different way. I have killed wolves when they said, "Warning, it's time to get out of here," and I've caught up to them and I've used a different approach and killed them. My biggest reward though, when I kill a wolf, is when I can kill the alpha.
Yeah.
That's when you did something. And realistically, how many times have I done that? 3 times. So 3 times have I killed the alpha. It's hard.
Wow.
It's really hard.
How many wolves have you killed?
Me personally, I've killed over a dozen. But if you're counting the people that I'm not always a shooter though. So like, let's say I was with my brother.
Yeah.
You know, when I'm with him, I want him to do the shooting because we're not going to get a chance even getting a video.
Right.
We miss a lot of video of wolves because wolves are really fast.
Right.
So it's like, there's a lot of throwing the camera down with wolves. With friends, I've taken friends out and they've shot wolves, you know, and I've called them wolves for them. So it's like, if I was always the shooter, I'd have well over 20 wolves, you know, with just hunting.
Wow.
And then, of course, with the muzzle brake, I can't tell you how many times, you know, you have a whole pack coming on you, you shoot and they scatter.
Yeah.
And so the one thing that really helped me out is I learned to use a suppressor, and their demeanor has changed so much. And the reason I went with the suppressor was you good with another story?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was out elk hunting. This was a time where wolves are really bad. Numbers were horrible. And I was sneaking in the woods. I was in a spot where we typically run into a good herd of elk, and it's a lot of good wallows in there. It's usually rut fest, and it's usually a specific time of the year, September, when they move in. And so it's not one of those things where you could just go in there whenever. It's like, okay, this is the time of the year they move into that area. So I moved in. And I could see elk tracks. I can smell elk tracks. I'm not smell elk tracks, but I can smell them. Like they're there, but they're not talking. This is the end of September. There's a big bull track. Why in the heck is he not talking? I know he's in here. He's in here. Why is he not talking? So I move in and I'm sitting there with my bow. This is with the old Hoyt Spider.
Nice.
You know?
Nice.
And I'm moving through the brush, and it's like, my windows of seeing are between 30 to 50 yards in certain places, right? But sometimes even like if it's too brushy, some places are like super close, like or my visibility is like 10 yards.
Yeah.
But I was starting to get to a point where I was in the thicket to where I was making a lot of noise walking through, and I'm like, I just want to let off some really slight cow calls as I'm moving through. And I'm moving through and stepping over these blow down and stuff and trying to make as least amount of sound as I can. But look, if you make a cow call, reason why I cow call in a situation like that is because elk are like, oh, it's just another elk moving through the brush, right? And they feel less alarmed. Hopefully I get a bull to chirp up or something. But realistically, I'm just trying to move through the other side so I can bugle the other draw. And so, but I was just moving through the brush. I'm like, something doesn't feel right. Something's off. You know, you get that scent, you know, what do you call it? The sixth sense?
Yep, the sixth sense
or something. And I look to my left, and there's a wolf at a trot coming right at me. And I'm like, what is happening? And I was just like, and so I just kept my eyes on it, and I just knocked an arrow.
No way.
Pull back. And that wolf, it stopped. I'd like to say, I don't want to keep changing. I like to say it was about 7 or 8 yards. Right.
Oh my God.
And he just comes, but he's just like, he's trotting in, but then he starts to realize, wait, that is not an elk. You know? And by that time he was like, you could see like he was doing like the head turn, like, wait a minute, what's going on here? I let an arrow fly, and I punctured him just right under the chin. And
no way. That's crazy.
It was. And he took like a couple leaps and just tipped over. And I'm just like, holy crap.
Oh
and
my
then,
gosh.
yeah.
I've never heard, I don't think I've heard anybody that shot a wolf with a bow. That is unreal.
But you gotta listen to the full story here. So the whole pack comes out and starts sniffing that dead wolf.
While you're standing there?
Huh?
You're still standing there?
Yeah. They don't know I'm there.
Oh my gosh.
So I knock another arrow. I pull back and I'm looking through the brush and I could see I'm looking through between two lodgepole pine and I got about a window like this on a neck, but it's under 20 yards. And I'm like, gosh, I wouldn't normally take this shot at an animal, but I'm like, it's a wolf, you know? So I let one fly and I hear a yelp and it I freaking spined it right there. Just like,
no way.
There's a lot, like that spine's small.
Right.
On a neck. And it dropped it right on top of the other one, just with a quick yelp and down. I was like, what? What's happening right now? And so
it's like a dream.
Oh, I know it. So then I see two wolves left, right? So originally, there was a total. So total, I'm looking at two dead wolves, and there's two still alive. This one ran to the right and disappeared from my sight. Couldn't see it anymore. The one on the left ran and is in the thick brush. And he looks back, and he's like, and he still doesn't know what's going on. And I'm like, it's still like in that 20-yard range. I'm like, this whole time I'm using top pin. Yeah. And I'm like, I usually wouldn't shoot through the brush, but it's a wolf.
It's a wolf. Yeah.
So I pull back and I stuck it and I get a yelp out of him and it starts to run directly at me, but lose consciousness at the same time.
Oh my.
And I kind of stepped off to the side and it was 2 steps away. This one just runs past me and disappears in the alders. But I watched it tip over multiple times. As it was running, it was doing this. It would run, tip over, run, tip over, run, tip over, and run in the brush. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I got 3 dead wolves.
That's nuts.
And then that other one, I was like, where'd that other one go? And there was this big shale rock, and I see that sucker at a dead run. He's like, I'm getting out of here. And he's like running as fast as he can. He's running through the shale, getting out of sight. And I'm like, oh, well, he's gone. So not bad. 3 out of 4 with a bow.
You killed 3 wolves with a bow right there in that one setting.
Yeah.
Dude.
And so here's the thing, though. I never found the third one. I know he died there. I know he died there. It was like downpouring rain at that time. And so I'm like sitting there. I was dealing with huckleberry brush that was like at that time of the year, beet red.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there like, oh, it's wet. So I'm like wiping my finger on the huckleberry brush. I'm like, gosh, I'm not getting blood. And then when I got in the alders, I just couldn't see. It was just a wall of alders. And I'm sure if I would have spent more time, but I'm like, gosh, I have to work up 2 wolves. Like, that's so crazy.
That is, dude, when you started telling me that story and I knew where you're going with it, because him walking in, I'm like, oh yeah, he killed a wolf with his bow. I was like, this is going to be the craziest story, but wow, that's impressive. Yeah. 3 wolves with a bow. I said, I've never heard of anybody that's ever shot a wolf with a bow. You're the first one.
I've heard of a couple people, but it's usually one. Man. It's usually one. But the one thing I learned from that situation was wolves are they're an apex predator, right? Mm-hmm. You think of if you're spot stalking a deer or an elk or any other animal, they're on high alert, right? Yeah. They're always afraid that something's trying to kill them.
Yeah.
This wolf pack never had hunting pressure. So they were, and realistically, because like deer and elk, they're not turning their heads because of people,
right? All
the time. They're turning the heads because they're always being hunted by a mountain lion, coyote, other things, right? Mm-hmm. Nothing's hunting a wolf.
Yeah. So they're not afraid of anything.
They're not. And so if they've never had hunting pressure before, they're not afraid of anything. And I've had that experience happen to me multiple times. We're just like, it's kind of creepy, but when they come in on you, they have no fear in their eyes.
Right.
Even like they look at you, like a coyote will look at you and turn around and run. Mm-hmm. Why? Because coyotes are still not at the top of the food chain.
Right.
And a wolf looks at you and he'll still keep coming. Like they're just like, oh, it's not what I thought it was, but it still sounded like food. So I'm going to keep coming in.
Right.
And it's the creepiest feeling of all time when an animal looks at you in the eyes and is still coming at you. Why? Because you sound like food.
Yeah.
And
there's
so
only a few animals that'll do that. I think a wolf and some bears are probably the only two animals that are going to be that way, at least the ones that we hunt.
Yeah. So if you're talking about like a brown bear,
yeah,
they'll do that.
Yeah.
That's scary. And they're a lot bigger than a wolf.
Yeah. Please tell me you had a GoPro on your head when you when all this happened with those wolves.
So
Tom.
So it was in my pocket.
Oh.
I had a GoPro. I had a pouch. And Travis, my brother, is like, please tell me you got that on video. And he said the same thing. So I was like, no. He's like, gosh, dang it. So he was there was a part, but like realistically, what could you do in this situation?
I know.
But from now on, though, I typically like to run a GoPro on my head. I don't know. It just starts to give you a headache. So if you wear one all day.
I quit wearing one because of that. Every single time I wear it, it gives me a headache. And I mean, yeah, you wear it all day long, but even just a couple hours, and I feel like it gives me a headache. So I've been so bad about wearing them on my head lately.
I'll throw them on if I'm tracking a muley buck. Like if I'm tracking a muley buck, and I've got some pretty cool videos. Like actually, so Taylor, who did the 360, when I was sending him some clips of videos and stuff to put together, he's like, that is an insane video. And there's one point blank in the timber.
Nice.
There's a buck I tracked all day.
Nice.
Boom. And it just started bouncing at me.
Yeah.
Muley. And then it ran past, after I shot, and it runs past me and tips over dead.
Oh, that's so cool. Timber. Man, he's gotten some cool videos. I mean, I haven't seen that one yet. That one's cool. But like, there's one that Adeline did where a mountain lion comes running like right past her while she's chasing mountain lions. Like,
oh, that's cool.
Man, there's that. He's got some really cool footage to put into some of these master classes.
Oh yeah. So it's awesome. I mean, that's why it's cool to film. When I did film those, the aftermath, I just filmed everything. I'm like, holy crap, I can't believe this happened.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is still cool. I mean, honestly, to be able to walk up on that and see two dead wolves right there together that you shot with a bow, like that's still some pretty good footage.
They were on top of each other. They're just like,
puts a new meaning to whack 'em and stack 'em, huh?
It does. Well, so the one right here I shot, I thought the arrow, because the arrow, there's no fletching.
Right.
I was like, oh, like it must be inside his belly or something. But then I go to skin. I'm like, wait, why does that thing had two buttholes? And I'm looking, I'm like, oh, my arrow completely passed through. It was no wonder he died so fast. That arrow entered the frontal, went all the way out and went out the back, completely did a complete pass through and stuck in. And I saw my arrow. I'm like, I'm leaving that arrow. I am not touching that arrow. That is disgusting.
I don't want it. Do you have
it's gonna stay right there?
Do you have a wolf in your shop there? Do you have one of the pelts?
Yeah, I could show you some. Oh, whoops. Can you still see me?
Yeah, I still got you.
Okay.
Sorry to make. Oh, sorry. Did you have it all nice and mounted up there?
Yeah. So there's another cool story. Is that big alpha I killed? So that's one of the alphas.
Oh wow, that's beautiful.
I was shooting on a big caliber, so that's why I only had the chance to use the head mount because I did too much damage.
The rest of it didn't make it.
Yeah, he was a hound killer, and so I had hound men get in contact with me. I got a reputation share, so if there's a wolf issue, I get a phone call.
Nice.
So this is a soft mount.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. Oh, dude, that's so cool.
This was like when we brought these to the Salt Lake show, we had a line of people. I mean, we used to do a booth, right?
Yeah,
we don't do one anymore at the Salt Lake show, but I think it was 2021. We brought one of these to our booth.
Oh my god!
And there was a line of people to get photos with these things, just like throwing them over people's shoulders. It's so fun. But I sell a lot of wolf hides though. Like if I kill them, I typically try selling them. But a lot of wolf hides don't turn out good either, So if you you have to kill them pretty much at the perfect time of the year. Otherwise, they're junk. What do
they sell for? What can you sell a wolf hide for?
You can sell them for between 500 to 1,000. We've been able to sell them for more just because we have a following and reputation. But it's quality. So like there's some junk ones over there that no way we're gonna. I feel bad trying to sell that to anybody because they're just junk hides. The other ones that I have there, they're just there. But
You might have to sell me one.
Yeah.
You have to send me some pictures. You might have to sell me one of the ones you have or one of the ones you get. I'd love to have a wolf pelt. That'd be cool. I don't know if I'll ever be able to kill one. So
yeah, I mean, I would give you a really good deal on those ones. They're hides. They're not like, but they're not the greatest. Like I said, if you are interested, I'll give you a great deal.
Send me some pictures after we're done, and let me know how much you'd sell them. Because like I said, I mean, okay. I have hopes like when we're in Alaska and whatnot that we're gonna run across a wolf, but the chances of that are slim, and I don't know that I'll ever make it to Idaho or anywhere to hunt them. So maybe someday. But I have so many other hunts that I want to do that's kind of at the low end of the list. You know what I mean?
But I will say this about wolves: after you shoot a wolf, like it's hard to compare any other hunt you ever done.
Yeah.
When you call in and kill a wolf, yeah, it's a high like nothing else. Like it's crazy to think, because it's almost like, so I'm going to say this. So my older brother is a very skilled shot. Like he kills a lot of stuff. And I feel like every time he pulls the trigger, things die. I've never seen him miss more wolves.
Really?
It's just, I think he just loses it. And I'm the same way. I mean, I feel like I've done pretty good, but the past couple I've missed. And so it's just like, gosh, like, well, they don't give you much chance to shoot them.
Right.
But it's like, there's so many, so like, just like the stories that I've told you about wolf hunting. It's like you sit back after a day like that and you're just like, wow, I can't believe a day like this happened.
Yeah, that's
true. And it's so hard to compare that to any other animal I've hunted. You know, like if it's mule deer, elk. I mean, I have some pretty cool stories with that too. But they like the alpha. I mean, that was another insane story. I get a phone call from houndsman. Well, it was kind of a later phone call because I feel like it was such an emotional situation. Because with houndsmen, if you've ever hunted with houndsmen and their hounds, it's like their children. Right?
They are like the children.
And so it's like if you have, it's like it almost feels like you had 5 of your children killed.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even get a conversation out of him for like a week until I got the whole story.
It killed 5 of his hounds.
5. So there was a couple different houndsmen that were involved, and they were treeing a bear. So they're in this one particular area. You can tree bears in the fall, and wolves. Yeah, the wolves came in, surprise attacked, pretty much killed the hounds in seconds, not minutes, seconds. Like it went from a bunch of hounds baying to complete dead silence without a yelp.
Wow.
And they show up and there's all their hounds half eaten. Like they're not even, like they're dismembered. Their hounds were. And they were pretty distraught. And they didn't even want to hunt the area, of course. They're just like, we're not going back there. And I'm like, well, let's see what I can do. And I spent 4 hours on that mountain and located the pack. So that was one of the days where I'm like, ooh, that was quicker than I thought.
Yeah.
You know, but they gave me a point, and then but still from where that happened, they could be anywhere, right? So it took me some time. Located the pack. And then I actually got back in service. I called my brother. I'm like, hey, bro, I got a wolf pack located. But I was like, but I think they're going to stay there. It sounds like they're in their bedding area. You can kind of tell, same thing like an elk. You can kind of tell like what type of howl they gave. It was like we're bedded down howl. And I was like, I'm pretty sure they're going to stay there for most of the day. It's going to be fairly warm.
Yeah.
You know? And so, will you come with me in the evening and film the hunt? Because that's so hard to film a hunt, right? So Trav's like, yeah, I'll get off work in time. So we got off work, and it's a long ways to get up that mountain, right? Like it's not close to where we live. And so, but he was able to make the drive, and by the evening he was able to get up there with me and run the video camera. And we moved in pretty close to him, and I let off some distress calls, and the whole pack, in the thick timber. And it was every time it's just so hair raising and cool at the same time.
Yeah.
It's a different type of, like you get adrenaline when the big bullet comes in, but there's like this slight adrenaline that's like excitement, but fear at the same time.
Yeah.
We're just getting surrounded. So it's like all of a sudden just in our lap, the wolves just like surrounded us in this heavy timber. And you just see glimpses of wolves, and you're just like I'm trying to get a shot off. I'm trying to lead it, and I'm free-handed. I'm offhanding because I have no rest.
Right.
I'm like, oh shoot, where am I going to? And then all of a sudden they smelt something. They started to run out. I did I forgot what sound. Oh, I had an elk reed in my mouth. So I did a couple cow chirps and a wolf popped out. Boom, shot it really fast, dropped it. And so Trav filmed that, right? Well, we go up to it and it's a younger wolf. It's not the alpha. So the very next day, I go back and they're not there and stuff. And I felt like I called the houndsman. I'm like, I got a wolf out of there. And they're like, yeah, that's good. But it wasn't the one that's really responsible, which was the alpha, you know.
Right.
I felt like it wasn't really satisfying to them that I just killed the young one. And I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, I better go back and keep. So it took me that took me about 4 days to relocate the pack. And I relocated them by the end of the week. Got them howling. I go in there and they're giving me a warning howl. I'm just like, gosh dang it. They already got me pinned.
They know you're there.
And so I start following so thank goodness I got a fresh skip of snow. So this was like the transition where the weather was getting from warm to cold. So I shot that first one like beginning of the week, and I think the weather was still like in the 40s. But then we got a fresh skip of snow in the mountains. So it's like, well, sweet. Now I got tracking snow.
Yeah.
So I heard where the warning howls were last. And so I go right to that direction. I cut a wolf track. I'm like, I'll follow that wolf. And so what happened is so when that alpha did a warning howl, all the wolves came together again and they moved out of the country. So I follow that one single wolf track. It's a young one, but it led me to the entire pack. And there's a single file wolf trail going through the mountains. Wow. And I'm like, well, I have all day. I got a sandwich. I got drinks. I'm going to spend a whole day. So I was tracking wolves and for a long time actually, but the snow, it was just a perfect snow. You couldn't ask for a better tracking snow. And I was going from drainage to drainage, following these wolves around. And then I get to a spot where it's like, you know, I see this like clearing and I was like, okay, on the other side. I'm trying to give you a picture in your head. So there's a timber draw and on the other side, there's an opening and I can see where the wolf tracks go through into the timber and they never come out the other side. And I'm like, ooh, they gotta be right there.
Yeah.
And I can see with my bino. Sometimes I'll scan like a hillside to see if I can see tracks. And you could, with the divots in snow, you could see that. And I'm like, I don't see any divots in the snow. That's a fresh snow over there. I think they're in that timber. So I get right on the tree line there. And I was like, so I did a different call that I haven't done before. And it brought in both alphas, the alpha male and alpha female. And he is big. He's huge. And he comes running, he runs past me. So he runs past me really quick. And so the longer story is, you know, he runs past me really quick. I'm like, oh shoot. And I let off I don't remember what call. I have a habit of keeping a cow elk reed in my mouth. So I'm assuming that's what I did, is I just let that off real quick. And he popped back out like, oh, I ran past whatever it was. And he was just a couple steps away.
Oh my
not
gosh.
far. And he just came in so aggressive. I was just like, I'm glad I wasn't standing in the way. He would have bulldozed me, man. And I shot, and I just remember, you know, there's just soft powder snow. I just remember the snow just doing a little circle when he just went flat.
Nice.
And that alpha female looks down. She's like, and she realized something's wrong here.
Was she right by him?
Huh?
Was she right next to him?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so I go bolt another one, but I have this big muzzle brake, right? And then I had a hard time leading her because so the gun I had was it was a long range shooting gun, and so my lowest power on it was 5x5, it was like 5.5 power to 24 power, and it was a night force, and I just had a hard time leading her. Like she was close, and she just took off and got in the trees, and I'm like, I had a hard time leading her, so I couldn't squeeze another one off. I'm like, dang it, that was just too close to her. If I had like a 3 power magnification, I probably could have got another shot off, right? Or a shotgun.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you had a shotgun that close, just pop them both with one shot.
But some people are like, well, why don't you carry a shotgun in the woods? Because it's like, well, then what if he's 400 yards?
Yeah, I'd say the chances of him being a couple feet away is probably pretty slim. Chances of getting him at 200 yards is probably pretty more common.
I will say this though. So somebody asked, what's your average shot on a wolf in the, I'm like, 30.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty close.
Hey, there's some of those new TSS rounds for shotguns that are good out to 50 yards pretty easily.
I know. It's just hard to pack everything, and I'll feel stupid if they are like if I catch them
Yeah.
out of clear cut at 400, 500 yards.
That's the issue. Is it's not like you're doing this in a vehicle. It's not like you can take a couple of guns with you. You're walking hillside after hillside after hillside to chase these things down. So it's not like you want to take a couple of guns with you. So yeah. I'm kind of with you.
Yeah.
What?
But I'll tell you this though. So it did made me. I built my new gun. I say new gun. It's been a couple years now. I built my last couple guns differently though for that. So I do have a 3-power scope, 3 to 18.
Yeah.
And designed for that close range shooting, but also I could still reach pretty good distance with it too. I'm not popping the 1,000 yards for sure, but I can still reach out to 600 to 700 yards.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a good brush gun.
That is so awesome.
It's insane.
All right, so now you got me all excited. Like I was just saying, I'll never go on a wolf hunt, and now I'm like, man, maybe I need to just like dedicate a fall to go wolf hunting.
It is a crazy experience when everything happens, and there's something about it when you have, like I said, it's not even just like, you calling an elk. It's like you call a whole wolf pack.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're just like, holy crap. And they all end up in your lap, but just like snap of the fingers and they're gone.
It's nuts.
It's just like, so you have to make every shot count.
Oh, that's nuts.
My best scenario is when so we were talking about the bow, right?
Uh-huh.
I guess I kind of went off track there. I learned a lot with the bow, and I realized out of all my rifle kills, I had a better chance when I called in the entire pack. I killed more wolves doing that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay. I was like, so what do I need to do? So then I got a suppressor. And it took me it was a process. It took me a entire year to get the suppressor right. No joke. I got the suppressor in my hand. I finally went through the process. It's like I got a suppressor. I went a week later, got up time off work. I popped 4 wolves on just.
Holy cow.
And by the way, I got it all on video.
Do you really?
Oh, yeah. Man.
Oh, man.
It's a bloodbath.
But that's, I mean, I don't mean to, well, yeah, I guess I do, but comparing coyote hunting to wolf hunting, but that's a game changer for coyote hunting is having a suppressor. Cause not usually, but when you call them in, they come in packs. They'll come in 2s and 3s. And if you don't have a suppressor, you'll get one shot off and then they're gone, but if you have a suppressor, you can knock down all 3 of them pretty easily.
Yeah. And it's pretty awesome. And we noticed it too. So when we were on Kodiak Island with blacktails and mountain goats.
Yeah.
You have a suppressor, you shoot, you hand it to the next person, they shoot. And it's just like, how many times I've shot animals with suppressors where we killed more than one animal at one time. Because that's what I learned too, right? With the wolves. I'm just like, well, they're standing around. It's the same thing. They did the same thing like I did with the bow, where they just stood around. They didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
And they're an apex predator. So the first instinct's not to run away.
Right.
And so I just keep shooting. Before I know it, I had 4 wolves stacked on top of each other.
That's crazy.
And all on video. And not a GoPro. Here's the funny thing that you'll laugh about. I had the GoPro on my head, but I didn't have time to turn that on. But somehow I had enough time to turn on the camera that's on a tripod.
That's all that matters, man. I'd much rather you turn that camera on than the GoPro on the head.
But if I would have turned one on GoPro, it would have been cool to have a second camera angle of everything.
That would have been cool to have both of them.
Because what it did miss, so it saw through it. So in the big camera, it shows 3 wolves. Because I literally just set the camera up. And I saw the route they're going to take. I'm like, this is obvious route they're going to take was right here when I call them in. So I called, and they all just came down. And they're young wolves, but they all came down single file. I didn't realize later, I rewatched the video, there was 5. I thought there was 4.
Wow.
And there was actually 5 coming down. But after the first shot, 1 left. Because I was wondering why I couldn't call the rest of the pack afterwards. I'm like, I pulled these young ones away from the pack. I dropped 4. I thought I took every witness out. I'm like, what? And the wind's great. My wind's great. Why is the wolf, the alpha's howling in the distance and he's not coming in? I'm like, why is he not coming in? Watch the video. 1 escapes, goes back and notifies the pack. And so I'm like, because I was like, I thought it was going to happen because in a lot of cases with other friends of mine, if you just wait, more members of the pack will come out like, hey, we're a group of buddies go.
Where's Frank?
And so they come down too, and then you just keep shooting. But
oh man, that's
the
so
part that I missed though was, I know this sounds bad and I sound like a cruel person here, but when I shoot the 3, one runs under a tree because it realizes like, hey, there's danger. I don't know where to go. And it runs under the tree and it pops out. It's like, is the coast clear?
Oh no. And that's not on the big camera. It's off the side. Oh man.
But it's still blood. You still see all 3 drop. Right
Yeah.
in front of the big camera. But the 4th one runs off and runs under a tree. And he just like,
boom.
It was great. I just remember that in my head. I'm just like, oh,
that's so awesome. Gosh,
just one of those moments where you're just like, so after everything settled down, I'm just like, dude, my brother's not going to believe it.
Yeah.
He's not going to believe what just happened. And he's not going to believe it that I filmed the whole thing. The funny thing was, so I located the pack, right? And I called my brother. Again, same thing. I backed out of there. I was out of service, so I got out of there when I located him. Because I located him early in the morning. And same thing, I'm like, oh, I found where they're bedding for the day, right? Took me 2 days to find that pack. Wow. 2 days for that pack. And I went back. And it was back up, though. All because some hikers found a wolf turd in the trail. And I'm like, honestly, I better check it out.
Yeah.
And it was several miles past there where I finally found them, like several miles, but I put on some miles, but there's also things, the way I read the ground that I teach, because I found that wolf turd, but that didn't mean anything. Right. It's like, okay, this is where the hiker told me they found a wolf turd, but that's not where the pack is. Right. And realistic at that time, I didn't really think there was a wolf pack there until I found a route. I found the route, and it was it was before the snow flew. So I'm like, you have to really pay attention. But now going back to that, I was just like, my brother's never going to believe me. And,
hey, you had it on camera, dude. You got it on camera. They got to believe you.
Yeah, like it's all on video, and the video, it's like I said, it's a great photo too. I'm just sitting there with my gun, smiling, like and I got.
That's so awesome.
So
that's what people dream of right there. Oh man, I'd love to have I would love to have a day like that. Now, like I said, now you kind of got me thinking that I need to start planning some wolf hunts, because this sounds like a freaking blast.
Well, after you get it in your blood, it's like doesn't leave. So it's tough because sometimes you will get discouraged, right? And so
that's hunting.
Few people that I know have killed wolves. They've gone weeks, if not months, trying to kill wolves again. Yeah, and haven't done it, but they're relentless and they still go out just because they got that bug. Yeah. Now.
I've heard that, man.
They don't know what to do with it. They're like, I got this bug, but I need, how do I?
I've heard people spend months trying to kill a wolf. Like it's something that they just keep after and keep after and keep after. So that drive, like you said, having that blood in the water, it drives you to go and get after it if you've ever done it before. But that's what I've heard people say. Obviously, I have no idea.
But you first got to identify if there's an actual wolf pack running in the area. That's the tough thing too, because I'm going to be honest and say, like, when somebody says, hey, there's one wolf here, it's like, that doesn't tell me much, like we have one wolf that's not in any form of order in a pack. He's just a nomad, right? And he can go for miles and have no pattern, and he's not bound down to any rules, right? But a pack has rules. A pack has order. And so what I do is I have taught to utilize that order for my success. Yeah. And it's a big weakness. I mean, it's a strength. A pack is a strength, but it's also a weakness for a wolf. And it's got to the point now, at least in our area, where wolves will hardly be wolves are hardly in packs anymore because we broke them up so much. Wow. But in some way it's good though. So, cause like it's harder for them to kill.
I would say they're less detrimental. They're not going to kill herds of elk or cows or whatever if they're not in a pack.
Yeah. And in the areas that we hunt now, where there's a rebound and it's incredible. Like I'm actually starting to feel like, look, like this is what it used to be like. Big bull elk and drain in their wintering ranges. Like I saw some great bulls this winter so far. I've seen some great muleys this winter. In drainages, I haven't seen them show up in a long time. Mm-hmm. And it's just, we're starting to see this trend come back where there's less. Even the best trapper I know right now, in Idaho, he's trapped well over 100 wolves. He's only trapped 3 this winter.
Wow.
And it's like, because he's having a hard time finding them. And it's like, that's a good thing.
That's a good thing. Yeah.
He's a little discouraged because he's like, gosh, like, because he's gotten so addicted to it. And he's like, it'd be nice to have a couple wolves.
Oh man,
like,
that's a good thing.
No, remember why we're doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
They're still around. They're just not as effective. Yeah.
See, and I don't mind them being around. Like I'm not an anti-wolf person, but I think they do need to be kept in check. So with you guys being able to kind of keep them in check, still allowing the elk herds and deer herds to be what they can be and what they should be, like that's how it should be.
But people don't realize you give them a break. And so sometimes we're like, well, maybe we need to give them a break. There's areas where we have given a break, and just overnight, and I mean overnight, it's a full pack again.
Yep.
And then it's back to like, you're back to square one. And so you have, like, when it comes to like managing wolves, you have to be a little more relentless than like mountain lions. Like mountain lions are a lot easier to control because we can use hounds and other forms of management, and they don't reproduce as fast as a wolf.
I was gonna say
lion, right?
Yeah, I'd say mountain lions produce so much slower than like a coyote or a wolf. They seem like it seems like the more you kill of them, the more they reproduce.
Yeah, exactly. And so what I've also found, and again, you'll obviously learn this, is I teach about rendezvous points, and these are how to find them, because those are really good places to kill wolves. Unfortunately, what happens over time is some of these rendezvous points I've found, other hunters have not found, but they've eventually figured out, oh, this is where Tom has been killing wolves, right? And then it ends up actually doing more harm than good, because what happens is you get inexperienced hunters going into those areas, and then now wolves, I can hardly pattern wolves, because it's back to the rats, right? Where you're like, you have to let them get comfortable. People think it's weird, like if like there's an area. Well, I killed a beautiful, I ended up selling it. I killed a beautiful white alpha male year ago, and beautiful white male. And what was I going to say about him? People thought I was crazy that I would give him a week break after I had pursued him. And I'm like, you're so, like, I was hiking in 8 to 9 miles to about 8.5 miles to find the pack. And I get in there and I raise a little, like I give a little hunting pressure, and I'd see what they do, and they'd freak out and back out. They'd leave. And so I'm like, back out, and I'd give them a week, go back in there, and they're almost nearly in the same spot. It was like their little rendezvous point. But the thing is, most guys would have just like, you hike in that far, you're like, I'm going to go in there and make something happen. It's like, you bust them out of there, and you shoot and you miss and you do a bunch of nonsense, and then you pound it for 5 days straight.
They're never coming back.
Yeah. And so you have to be careful with it. And it's like, all you did is you put them a little more on edge. They'll still run the area, but they're going to be way more on edge, and they're still killing the game. So it's like, your best bet is to play it safe. It's sad, but you got to let them kill a couple more deer and elk in there, but wait until they're vulnerable and you find them in a vulnerable state. And I killed the alpha male, beautiful white male.
You have a picture of him?
Yes.
Oh, you'll have to send it to me. I'd love to see him.
Yeah. And I'll send you a picture of the one that killed 5 hounds too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you should. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, those are two big dogs, like almost to the point where, like, have you seen, like, how dogs get to an age where their lips hang?
Like their jowls start to like kind of like hang down a little bit.
Yeah, they just have that hangy lips.
Yeah, I have.
It's both those wolves. It's just like their lips are just like hanging. It's like, oh man, just like
they need to die.
That's a wolf.
That's the kind of wolf that I want to go after right there.
Yeah. The white one, it was thinner because it was earlier in the year before winter. His hide was thin, but you could see it in the face. You can see it in the face.
Yeah.
So,
oh man.
Anyways, sorry.
Well, shoot, Tom,
talk about wolves.
I love this. I think this is like one of the funnest podcasts I've ever done. Well, because wolves are so intriguing I think to pretty much everybody, but especially to me. Like I've done so many podcasts on, like the wolves in Colorado and what's going on there. And it's a different environment there than it is in Idaho. But I think this is cool, and I'm excited for your master classes. I know you got the wolf and the mule there. Actually, that's the question I was going to ask you. When do the bear and the elk master classes come out?
I wish I had a date,
Okay.
but just like you and me trying to plan the podcast, right? It's like
that was a bit of an
like
adventure.
One of those things where I'm like, I'm going to try to get the bear finished before this spring. That's my goal.
Okay.
But do I have a date? I don't. But I just got to whip it out. I'm trying to finish my editing. I got to edit all our Stuck N The Rut videos, and then I'll go right into spring bear, and then I'd like to get the elk one before fall. You know? So that's. But I don't necessarily have a date. But you can get on a waiting list, so you can actually go onto 360 Sportsman and get on the waiting list, so that when it does come out, you get a notification about it. So
perfect.
And you get the discount. So there's a discount as soon as it is launched. So, but I want to get that out for everybody because spring bear we're really good. We got like I think 60 something episodes of spring bear and fall bear.
Yeah.
Between the both, we've killed a lot of bears.
Let's see, you guys have a lot of bear episodes, which I think that's going to be a lot of fun to add into this. And hey, what do you think about? Once we know the dates of those master classes coming out, what do you think about jumping on another podcast with me and kind of digging more into the bear and the elk?
I would love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
That'd be awesome. I think that would be a lot of fun. Because I think this is super helpful. I mean, we're not giving too much away with the masterclass. I think people are still going to benefit from the masterclass. We're the tip of the iceberg here on this podcast. But if it's done to everybody else, what it's done to me is like now I'm like super excited about going wolf hunting. I really want to go wolf hunting and I want to learn more about it. So I think we can kind of get people excited about it, talking about these. So let's plan that as soon as we have a date on when those are going to come out. Maybe we can do a podcast and kind of release it similar time to when they come out, and we can kind of dig into both of those.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that'd be great.
That'd be awesome. Are you doing? Go ahead.
No, I was saying, I was like, oh yeah, we got our fair share, as you can see in the back. You can see the elk on the wall. I mean, we've killed a lot of bulls.
Yeah,
we've killed a lot of bulls.
You guys have a lot of elk. You guys have a lot of footage of everything, but you have a lot of bear footage, a lot of elk footage. You guys have a lot of good content to pull from. So I think you're the perfect guy for these things.
Yeah, we grew up in it. I mean, what's really cool with Idaho, Montana is, because I've hunted Montana a lot as well, and a lot of other states too. But is we're very diverse with species. Like we have a lot of species, and you can see too. Like I mean, if you can see the moose paddles, all the ones on the bottom row, those are all Idaho.
Wow, like
really?
Dang, those are big.
They are. Oh yeah, Boone and Crockett too.
Yeah,
like, we have a lot. Well, Travis, my older brother, he has the world's. Maybe still I don't know if it's still to this day, but the world's largest Shiras moose sheds.
Oh, really?
And right there. But but yeah,
that's nuts.
Oh yeah, behind the camera. I can show you later if you want. But
are we going to have a moose masterclass coming soon?
I mean, I would create that. I just don't know how popular it'll be, just because it's a drawing. At least here, you can hunt them in Alaska, of course. Like a lot of people hunt them there. Maybe my brother-in-law would want to tackle that one.
Yeah.
But I've called in a lot of moose locally, and our moose numbers are down. They're starting to come back, but moose take a lot longer to rebound than deer and elk, you know?
Yeah.
But I would love, like I said, I'd love to do it. I'm like, I don't know how popular that would be, just because you have to draw in the lower 48.
Yeah. I don't know. The moose is kind of like wolves, not a lot of opportunities to hunt them, but they're intriguing. It's something that people really are interested in and want to do. They may never do it in their lives, but it's something that they really want to do. So I don't know. I'm excited about 360 Sportsman and the different master classes that are coming out. And I think it's going to be super beneficial. I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. I think it's great. And I'm looking forward to getting those other videos or the other ones put together. And then also too, the one thing to know too is what I love with 360 Sportsman is I can add content regularly without feeling like it's a hassle, right? So I can add more. So you let's say you purchase a mule in their masterclass, you have it forever, but don't expect everything you see is all you see. There's going to be more content added to it, and so you have it forever. after you purchase it. And so that's great.
And that's what's cool is because things are going to change. There may be different things that change, whether it be technology or whether it would just be the landscape that we're hunting them on. It's going to change. And so I agree with you. I think that's one of the great things about 360 Sportsman is those master classes will continue to update. And if you purchase them, you've got it for life.
Yeah, exactly. So, I agree with you 100% there.
Well, Tom, I better let you go. I've got a little girl's birthday party to go to, but we're gonna stay in contact. Well, send me some information on those wolf pelts. I'm really curious about that, and but let's get another podcast on the books with the bear and the elk because I think this is super beneficial for people to listen to.
Absolutely. Hey, thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah,
and I enjoyed it. And like I said, get talking about not just hunting, but wolf hunting, man. I
love it, man.
We can go for hours.
Well, I love it. I think it's awesome. And man, I wish I was going to the expo because, like I said, my only thing I love about the expo is I love going to seeing people. Just some of the guys that I've had a chance to talk with. So I won't see you there, but we're gonna have to do something and get together sometime and just share stories and share information and just have a good time.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you.
So. Cool, man. Hey, well, before we go, just I'm sure everybody knows where to find your stuff, but do that shameless plug at the end of the podcast. Where's the best place to find all your guys' stuff?
Yeah, so Stuck N The Rut. It's spelled stuck and then with an N instead of IN, so Stuck N The Rut. You can find us on Instagram. If you just type it in, you'll find us. YouTube, Facebook. TikTok. I don't use my TikTok as much, but we have a good following on TikTok somehow. But I don't like TikTok too much. But YouTube is what I'd say is our baby. That's what we've worked on the most. That's our product. That's where you can mostly find us. And then if you're wanting to take the master class, I'm sure you'll put a plug there with 360 Sportsman. Taylor, like he created like a section specifically for Stuck N Rut where all our Stuck N Rut our master classes are going to be. So under there, you can find the wolf, the mule deer, and then you can also get on the waiting list for the bear and elk.
Yeah. So if you guys listening, I'll go ahead and put I'll put that link to the 360 Sportsman, the Stuck N Rut link in 360 Sportsman, so you guys can just click on that, go straight to that, and whatnot. I'll also put a link to you guys' YouTube channel in there. That way they can just quickly get to that. Because honestly, I mean, I love Instagram, I love social media, but you guys really thrive on the YouTube stuff. It's amazing videos, great content, good entertainment, good information. So man, keep up the good work. I really appreciate you taking the time with me today and appreciate what you guys are doing.
Hey, thank you. And yeah, thank you again for having me.
Yeah, 100%, man. All right, send me some text. I'm curious on those pelts.
Okay, I will. Hey, take care.
All right, see you, buddy.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.